Well, you've been told many times if you watch TV that America needs to join the Paris Climate Accord immediately. Pulling out of it was immoral. And to do your part to fight global climate change, you need to accept burdensome taxes on the energy you use. It's the least you can do. But what about the people claiming you need to do this? Are they willing to pay their share? Well, in a recent piece in the Daily Caller, ran in the Daily Caller News Foundation, reporters Chris White and Michael Bastash contacted 31 major corporations, foundations, and individuals who have endorsed the Paris Climate Accord. And they asked a very simple question. The simple ones are the most revealing. Here's what they asked. If climate change is indeed the existential threat you say it is, would you support a ban on all private jet travel? Now, these are deeply moral people, they asked. Obviously, you see them on television. They care in a way that you never will because you're too shallow. So are they willing to do this? No, not one of them. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg spent more than $1 million flying private over the past couple of years. His company didn't even bother to respond. Neither did Google or Apple or, by the way, Al Gore, who flies private all the time. In fact, only 2 of the 31 companies contacted responded at all. And both said they, buckle your seatbelt now, oppose banning private jets because they use them. You, meanwhile, are sinful for driving an SUV to pick up your kids at hockey practice, just so you know. Well, if the people who lecture us really did make major sacrifices to stop the global warming scourge they tell us so much about, the rest of us might be more inclined to follow their example, but they won't. So when the elites impose new taxes for the sake of climate change, ordinary citizens are sometimes driven to protest instead. And in France, they're protesting in a very intense and sometimes violent way. Here's part of it. That's Paris, not a war zone. Dana Perino hosts the Daily Briefing, of course, with Dana Perino, and enlivens the 5 every day at 5. She joins us tonight. Dana, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I think the argument over whether climate change is happening is less interesting than the debate over what we do about it. And I'm just so struck by the people who are telling us, and maybe they're right, by the way, I don't know, I'm not a climate scientist, that this really is the moral question of our time, the moral test of our time, and an existential threat to life as we know it, are really not making the kind of sacrifices you'd expect from someone who sincerely believed the threat was that profound. Why do you think that is?
Well, and that has been true for all the years that we've been talking about this. I cut my teeth on Capitol Hill as a staffer for the chairman of the Energy and Power Subcommittee. Right, remember when Janet Yellen came and talked about global warming, like way back then? I'm dating myself a little bit. And even back then, I mean, you knew immediately that there were things that maybe we could do, but that just the law of physics at this point in time means that you cannot actually just eliminate fossil fuels completely. Right. And here's a mantra that I want everyone to remember. Elites care about global warming. Drivers care about fuel prices. And politically, drivers always win. Okay, so for all of these
That's
people
a very good equation.
that want to go to, you know, they're going to, the Democratic candidates that want to take on President Trump in 2020, they're going to be heading not to San Francisco to campaign. They got to go to Iowa first, and that's going to happen in February. And so they need to remember that the things that help them get campaign donations from San Francisco and New York, that's not going to work in Iowa. And the United States has actually been able to grow its economy and decrease its emissions. Could we do more? Yes. Well, you know how you do more? A growing economy helps you do that because then you have the money to invest in it.
Yes.
It is places like China in particular that has a huge problem. But the more that we can do to innovate, we can try to help solve this problem. But you know, ridiculing people is not going to work.
No, and by the way, if you really believe that climate change is all that matters and you're flying on a private plane, I mean, you need to really look in the mirror and think deeply. Do you think that a carbon tax will become a component of the debate in the next election?
I not only think that a carbon tax will become a component, I think that it will become a litmus test for Democratic candidates trying to seek the 2020 Democratic nomination for president. And they got to be careful about that. Now, however, let me just tell you, remember the departed Charles Krauthammer, very
Yes.
conservative, understood these things very well. See, the thing is that Economists love a carbon tax. It's very transparent.
Right.
It's very direct. Politicians hate a carbon tax for that very same reason. There might be some good reasons to actually do a carbon tax if you were to reduce taxes in another way. That was Charles Krauthammer's proposal, and I think that you could see that. But I don't think that Democrats are going to actually propose a carbon tax that goes along with a tax cut somewhere else. I don't see that happening.
Right. They're going to call it the Green New Deal, and the rest of us will never figure out what's in it until it's too late. Dana Perino, thank you for that update and also that
remember
prediction.
the mantra.
There are more drivers than there are Sierra Club executives. That is totally true.
There you go.
Great to see you.